Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We're coming to you from the Area Command, guys. This is Stardate. Guess what? Hang in here with me. This is Stardate 7/3/2025. Captain's log, Stardate 7/4/2025. Yes, I'm making fun of Star Trek a little bit, but I'm a Star Trek fan, so I have that opportunity. I'm going to take it, as I have in the past. But folks, I want to get serious now. What we're going to talk about today is serious, and I also want to have a little bit of fun today. So please hang in there with me. I would ask each of you right now to make sure you stick around for our entire program, because you're going to want to see what we have to show you tonight. Yes, we're going to talk about earthquakes. Yes, we're going to talk about the Pacific Northwest. Yes, we're going to talk about the 4th of July as well. And tomorrow, I'm going to play a special video presentation that we put together about the 4th of July. So hang in here with us. Please give us a thumbs up if you will. Please also come over here and subscribe to our channel if you know and like what we're showing you. We urge you to subscribe to our channel, and also right next to the subscription button, there is another button. It is a thumbs up button, but there's also a little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon, ladies and gentlemen. When you click on that little bell icon, there'll be a drop-down menu of 3 items come up. Click on the word ALL, all. That should get you notified when we come on the air. Be advised, YouTube continues to unsubscribe people, and YouTube also, unfortunately, continues to downgrade us and make sure people are unsubscribed, and they also make sure that they don't always notify everybody when we come on the air. We always come on the air, guys, sometime after 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We used to come on the air after 6 p.m. It got to be a little bit late when we got off the air, and also a lot of people asked us to go on the air earlier, so that's what we've done. Now we come on the air after 4 p.m. Eastern Time every day. I'm here for you. I will always be here for you. Now, below on the bottom of your screen here, you see where we have our PayPal and Venmo addresses here. If you want to help support this program, please do so. Okay, you can donate to our PayPal, 2 PayPal locations, and or you can donate to our Venmo. It's here. Also, you see our address here. Our email address is rltnspdema@gmail.com. We also have our regular address, where you can slip us a note or a letter or a card. Please do that. We love to hear from you. We haven't heard from you in quite some time. When you send us a letter, you can also slip a donation in the middle of the letter and wrap it in the letter so it's not visible from the outside of the envelope. So do that. Also, if you send us a card, slip your donation inside the card so nobody can see it. That way we get your donation, and we also get that beautiful card that you want to send us. We'd appreciate that very much. But again, we haven't had many cards or letters in a very long time. We appreciate all that you do for us. We appreciate us being on the air to help all of you. Now, I love you. I care about you. That's why we're coming on the air tonight. Now, before I go any further, I want to talk about what is going on in the Pacific Northwest. Actually, before I do that, let's go over here and take a look at the USGS map. Then we'll go and talk about the Pacific Northwest after that. Okay? Here, I'm going to have to fix this map again. It keeps going down to the Southern California area. There are about 400 or 500 earthquakes in the Southern California Imperial Valley area and the San Diego County area. There are over 400 earthquakes today in the greater LA area. Be advised, I believe we are going to have a major earthquake in Southern California. I'm sure of it. I just don't know the date that it's going to happen. There is somebody here on YouTube and also on Facebook that keeps saying that there's going to be a major 7.0 earthquake on Sunday, every Sunday. It doesn't happen. It has never happened. Actually, I'm sorry, it has happened once. That was on April 3rd, 2010. But he's been declaring a 7.0 earthquake on every Sunday for the past, I want to say, 7 or 8 years. It's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen that way at all. But what I am saying now, we are expecting an earthquake, a major earthquake in Southern California, and probably it will be on the San Andreas Fault. We need you to be aware of that. We don't know when it's going to happen. We absolutely do not know when it's going to happen. Now, we did have an earthquake on July 4th back in 2019. 2019, we had a earthquake over here in the Ridgecrest area on July 3rd and July 4th. July 3rd, we had two 6.9s. We had two 6.9s here in Ridgecrest area on July 3rd. USGS kept one of them and took off the other one. It was actually a 7.0. But USGS deleted one and kept the other. On July 4th, about noon in California, we had a major 7.1 earthquake on July 4th, 2019. It devastated the area. It ruined roads. It closed roads in and around Ridgecrest, California, and some areas of Los Angeles. Okay, it did that. Okay, there wasn't much damage because it was out here in the middle of the California Mojave Desert. But it's going to happen again. I don't believe it's going to be in the Ridgecrest area, but I do believe it's going to be down here in Southern California. I want you to be aware of that. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I want to be very honest with you about what's going to happen. Now, we have earthquakes all over the world, literally all over the world. Over here in the Adak Island area of Alaska, we have a 4.3 earthquake over here in the Aleutian Islands. A 4.3 moderate earthquake here, and it's only 64 kilometers deep. Only 64 kilometers deep. Now we have an ongoing event over here in the area, the region south of the Japan Islands here, right here. This has been going on for 2 weeks now. Right here, in the middle of everything, we have a 5.0 earthquake. Right here, to the north, we have another 5.5 today. A very large 5.5 earthquake. 5.0 right there, and this one is a 5.1. Okay, this one is a 4.7 moderate earthquake. This is a 4.5. This is another 4.4. This is a 4.8. Okay, now we've been having earthquakes just like this for the past 2 weeks. What do we know about earthquakes? What do we know about earthquakes? When we have swarms of earthquakes, guys, that usually leads to a much larger, shallower, and more dangerous quake. So far, each and every one of these earthquakes have been away from islands. They have been away from any land mass at all and away from population centers. These earthquakes are in the Sea of Japan bordering the Pacific Ocean. The waters of the oceans have absorbed the shock waves of these quakes. So far, there's been no damage, no injuries, and no one killed. That could change depending on how strong these earthquakes are and where they hit. Also, if it's a shallow quake, we need to tell you this. If it is a shallow quake, we may have a tsunami. If it is a shallow quake, we could have a tsunami. We will keep you apprised of what's going on. As soon as we see it happen, we will notify you. Okay? But it is very probable that this could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying it's very probable. I don't want to scare anybody, but these are just the facts. Okay? Let's continue on with this discussion today. Now, I want to go again over here in Myanmar. A couple of months ago, we had a 8.4 earthquake here. We are still having earthquakes here. USGS is only showing us occasionally some of the earthquakes that are happening. In this case, USGS is showing a 4.4 earthquake here in Myanmar. It's an aftershock of the 8.4 earthquake that hit here. And USGS is only showing one earthquake out of the swarm of earthquakes that are actually hitting here. Okay, there are 1.0 tremors. There are 2.0, 3.0 earthquakes hitting here. 2.0 are minor earthquakes, 3.0 are small earthquakes. And again, this is a 4.4 moderate quake. Okay? Every time an earthquake of this size hits, people wonder, are we going to get hit again? They knew what happened here when it first hit. 8.4 earthquake did major damage here in Myanmar, and we reported on it. They're still having earthquakes in this region. When Myanmar had that earthquake 2 months ago, it devastated this entire region. Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam felt the aftershocks. They felt the earthquakes. And they may still be feeling these earthquakes depending on where the aftershocks hit. Okay? Now, where do these earthquakes in Myanmar come from? Way down here in Indonesia. Okay? I'm showing you this earthquake here in the Nicobar Islands. In the Nicobar Islands. These are between India and northern Sumatra, Indonesia. This is a 4.7 earthquake. We are also having other earthquakes here as well. But this is a 4.7 moderate earthquake here. Over near the point of northern Sumatra here. Offshore northern Sumatra, we've had another 4.7 earthquake here. Right there. Near Banda Aceh, Indonesia. This is 48 kilometers deep. 48 kilometers deep. Over here in the Indian Ocean, we continue getting hammered here in the Carlsberg Ridge, in the center part of the Indian Ocean. This is a 5.0 large earthquake. A 5.0 large earthquake. We had another 5.2 here yesterday. Along with that here, we have another earthquake, a 4.7 earthquake here, a moderate 4.7 here. Now, again, as I said yesterday, these are on the Carlsberg Ridge. If you notice where the Carlsberg Ridge goes, okay, you can go over here into Yemen, you can go over in Saudi Arabia, okay? This energy is going to climb this earthquake fault. You can go over here to Yemen or into Saudi Arabia. You can also go up here into Iran. Okay, we may see large earthquakes in Saudi, Yemen, or Iran here in the next week. Okay, I'm not forecasting, I'm telling you what the facts are. These earthquakes follow known earthquake faults, or they follow the edge of the plate. That's what we're seeing here. Okay, that's what we're seeing. Before I leave this area, I want to go over here into Indonesia here. We told you about the earthquakes over in Sumatra. This earthquake is just south of Java here. This is a 4.5 moderate earthquake south of Java on the Indonesia fault zone, this undersea ridge here. This is a 4.5 earthquake. Nobody was hurt, nobody was injured, and these moderate earthquakes only cause moderate damage. Okay? USGS calls these light earthquakes. There's nothing light about these earthquakes at all. At all. But this being out in the ocean did not cause any damage or injury to anyone. The ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. They're also showing an earthquake over here in the east of Indonesia here. This also is a 4.7. It's also 168 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow quake. Going further over here to the east, this is Los Palos, Timor-Leste, Indonesia. This also is a 4.5 moderate earthquake, 140 kilometers deep here. Going a little bit north into the west here, we go into Sanana, Indonesia. This is a 4.4 moderate earthquake here. These two earthquakes are in the Banda Sea. The Banda Sea. Now, What they're not showing you here is, guys, Indonesia has 36 earthquakes here. Indonesia has 36 earthquakes, and they are showing how many? 5, 6. They're showing 6 earthquakes out of 36. That's a poor batting average for even USBS. They're not showing any earthquakes here in the Philippines. There are 7 earthquakes here in the Philippines that they're not telling anybody about. Now, these earthquakes here in the Philippines and or Indonesia could turn into very large, dangerous, major earthquakes. They've had that happen in the past. Last year at this time, we're seeing major earthquakes here in the Philippines and in Indonesia. I want to make sure everybody is aware of that. Okay. Now I want to go further east over here. This is Vanuatu. Is-Anglo Vanuatu. Okay. We've told you about earthquakes here in the past. They're still hitting. We've told you yesterday and earlier this week about large earthquakes and moderate earthquakes over here in the Fiji area. I told you then that we would continue to see large earthquakes either in this area, Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, or over into Papua New Guinea. We're seeing these large earthquakes here. This one is in Is-Anglo Vanuatu today. This is 10 kilometers deep. This is a shell earthquake. We told you that those deep earthquakes earlier this week would cause larger, more shallow earthquakes, and that's what this one did here. Is-Anglo Vanuatu today, a large 5.0 earthquake. Further north here, also in Fiji, this is a 5.3 earthquake. The other day, one of the 4.6, I believe it was a 4.6 or 4.4 earthquake that hit, I told you it was going to cause or propagate a 5.3 earthquake, and that's what we have here in northern Fiji. This is a 5.3 large earthquake, 219 kilometers northwest of Lubuka, Fiji. Again, it's out in the open waters of the Pacific Ocean. Nobody felt this earthquake. The Pacific Ocean waters absorbed the shock waves of the quake. Okay, further east here. This is also 287 kilometers east of Lubuka, Fiji. This is a 4.3 earthquake, and guess what? This is a deep earthquake. This is a deep earthquake. This is 576 kilometers deep. This again is going to propagate a much larger earthquake. This earthquake is going to propagate another 5.2 to 5.3 earthquake here in the next 3 to 10 days. Sometime again in the next 3 to 10 days. This earthquake could propagate earthquakes over here in the Legacy Islands here, can go over here into Vanuatu, can come up here into the Solomon Islands, or also over here into Papua New Guinea. The earthquake could also hit here over in Tonga, over here in Tonga region. Or, as has happened a few times, the earthquake, the seismicity can go over here to South America and hit Chile and or Argentina. It's happened in the past. It's happened in the past 6.5 years that we've been on the air. I want to make sure you all are aware of what's going on. One more earthquake here in the Tonga region. This is a large 5.2 earthquake. Okay, now this 5.2 earthquake is a result. Okay, this is a result of one of those moderate earthquakes in Fiji earlier this week. This is a 5.2 earthquake. We said it was going to be stronger, 5.2 range, and was going to be less deep. This is a shallow quake. 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles deep. A 5.2 earthquake. This is 140 kilometers south of Ohunua, Tonga. Ohounua. Ohunua, Tonga. Okay, 5.2 earthquake here today. Down here in the Kermadec Islands, we also have moderate earthquakes here, and down here in New Zealand, we continue to see earthquakes here, but USGS is not reporting them. We've talked about this before. I think USGS is negligent. USGS is always negligent of what's going on. We go down here over on the Antarctic ridge here. This is a 5.2 earthquake here. I'm sorry, this is a 5.4. This is a large 5.4 earthquake over here in the Antarctic region, the Antarctic ridge. Look where this is, the southern Pacific Ocean. This particular earthquake is going to continue to make its way north and east here. It's going to continue working its way through the Antarctic ridge. It could also end up down here south of South America, either over here in the Drake Passage where we had a 7.4 earthquake here almost 2 weeks ago, or it could go over here into the South Sandwich Islands. We've had numerous earthquakes there as well. Okay, it could go over here to the South Sandwich Islands, but be advised, it will come here. It will definitely come here. Now, what's going to happen? We're going to see continued 5.0 energy coming through this area. Now, when it comes here, it's going to either come over here to the Drake Passage, then over here into the South Sandwich Islands, and then it's going to work its way up here into the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Mid-Atlantic Ridge. We spoke about this yesterday. If it works its way up here, it will come through the South Mid-Atlantic here. It will continue its climb over here into the Central Mid-Atlantic here, in the Central Mid-Atlantic here, and it'll work its way up here into the North Atlantic. These happen. It's happened before. It's going to happen many times again. We're going to see its way work up here into the Mid-Atlantic, North Atlantic Ocean. It's going to come up here. We're going to see more and more earthquakes here. When that earthquake comes here, it's a very good possibility that it will hit Iceland here. There is a very good possibility it could hit Iceland here. Okay? I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. For kicks and giggles, let's talk about South America. There are 32 earthquakes today in South America. USGS is showing us 2. Only 2. Isn't that what the Lord told Moses? Only 2? Only 2? Interesting enough. Okay. Over here in Argentina, we have a 5.0 earthquake here. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water here. My sinuses are draining again. Over here in Argentina, this is in the Pampas region, the farmland region of western Argentina. This is a large 5.0 earthquake, 29 kilometers south-southwest of El Hoyo, Argentina. Now, this is east of the Andes Mountains here. But not to be outdone, there are more earthquakes to the west as well. More earthquakes over here in northern Chile. A lot more. There are 14 earthquakes here in northern Chile. There are also 12 earthquakes over here in central Chile that they're not talking about. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know. Because these earthquakes in central and northern Chile are 3.2, 3.4, 3.5, 3.9, and even 4.5. 4.5 moderate earthquakes. We go up here in the northern Chile, Antofagasta region. Guess what? We have another earthquake here. This is another large 5.4 earthquake. A dangerous 5.4 earthquake. This is 99 kilometers south-southwest of Uyuni, Bolivia. This is in Chile. This earthquake is in the Andes Mountains of Chile, and this is west of the Bolivia border in the Andes Mountains. Now let's take a closer look about where this earthquake came from. Look where we're here. Look where we're at. We have a volcano right there. We have another smaller volcano right here. There are craters and vents all over this region. This is a volcanic area, guys. This is a volcanic area. Volcanoes all over this area. That's maybe why we have this earthquake here. Magma down beneath the surface of these volcanoes here in the Andes Mountains. Okay. Now there is another 4.2 earthquake over here in Peru. There are earthquakes over here in Ecuador. Earthquakes over here in Bolivia. They're not being honest with anybody at all. Okay? They're not being honest with anybody at all. They're not showing any earthquakes in Europe. Look at this. Look at this. They're not literally showing any earthquakes here in Europe at all. They're only showing one earthquake over in the Aegean Sea here. Where's it at? Does anybody recognize where this earthquake is at? And it is not the only one. This is a 4.2 earthquake, 20 kilometers, approximately 9 miles southwest of Amorgos, Greece. Southwest of Amorgos, Greece. This island right here. All of these islands here are called the Dokanese Islands. The Dokanese Islands belong to Greece. The Dokanese Islands belong to Greece. We continue to have earthquakes here. I keep explaining why these earthquakes are hitting. We have magma down beneath the surface. Magma down beneath the surface, and it is fracturing bedrock here. The magma is pounding away at the bedrock in this area. The magma is trying to find a way to erupt. There is magma down beneath the surface of everything here, trying to find a way to erupt. Each one of these islands are a result of volcanic action. Each of these islands here are a result of volcanic action. This is not the first earthquake that hit here, and it will not be the last. It won't be the last. But I'm sad to say the USGS is not doing its job. There are 19 earthquakes here in Greece. They're not showing that. There are 42 earthquakes here in Turkey. Eastern Turkey, Northern Turkey, Southern Turkey, and Western Turkey as well. Not showing anything. Why not? They're not showing anything anywhere here in Europe. There are earthquakes over here in Northern Sicily and Southern Italy. There are earthquakes over here near Naples. Earthquakes here are because we have another volcano here. Another volcano, Vesuvius volcano, guys. Vesuvius volcano is trying to erupt. It's already putting out steam here. Steam laced with SO2, sulfur dioxide from the magma, and carbon dioxide also from the magma here. Vesuvius volcano is trying to erupt again. Earthquakes here in northern Italy as well, north central Italy. 23 earthquakes here that they're not telling us about. All over Europe here you see earthquakes, but they're not showing them. They're not showing them. Earthquakes here in Spain. Why are we not seeing them? Why are we not seeing them, guys? We have earthquakes in southwestern Puerto Rico. Those are aftershocks of two major earthquakes that hit here December 26th and December 28th, 2019. This earthquake here is a 2.3. This is south of Maria Antonia, Puerto Rico. This earthquake here is a 2.3. This is northwest of Fugue, Puerto Rico. The southwest of there is a 2.1. This is actually east of La Porguera, Puerto Rico. Earthquake north of there, almost directly north, this is a 2.1 earthquake here. Saba Grande, Puerto Rico. Aftershocks of 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake here, December 26th and December 28th, 2019. One earthquake over here in central Puerto Rico. This has nothing to do with those two major earthquakes. This is a different situation. We have a volcano here on Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was founded by volcanoes. This is a 2.6 here near Oroco Vis, Puerto Rico. Arroyo Beach, Puerto Rico. Okay. This, I believe, is magma down underneath the island. Over here in the Mona Passage. The Mona Passage is the body of water between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. We have an earthquake down here on the south part of the Mona Passage. This is a 3.1 earthquake. Up here to the northeast, we have another 3.4 earthquake here. Okay, this earthquake is north of Punta Cana, for Dominican Republic. Down here to the south, this is the 3.8. This 3.8, guys, is actually 20 kilometers south-southeast of La Romana, Dominican Republic. La Romana, Dominican Republic. Okay, these are normal. This is all normal. Happens all the time. I want to come back over here to the Pneumatic Fault. Guess what's happened? We've had another earthquake, guys, right here. Right here. Cooter, Missouri. Cooter, Missouri. Guess what? This is not the only one. As I showed you yesterday, there are 2.0s, there are 3.0s, 3.5 earthquakes happening all over the Pneumatic Fault, especially here in the center part of the Pneumatic Fault. Missouri. A 2.1 earthquake, Cooter, Missouri. Cooter, Missouri here. Let's zoom in here. Right there. There's Cooter here. All right? That's what's happening. Like I said, we've talked about earthquakes in California yesterday. We talked about earthquakes there before. Earthquakes over in Idaho. Over here in the Yellowstone area. Yellowstone magma chamber here. This is Kelly, Wyoming. A 2.1 earthquake over here near Kelly, Wyoming. This is in the Yellowstone magma chamber. Okay, let's go north. Right here. Devil's Thumb. Devil's Thumb right here. Yellowstone National Park. This is a 1.6 tremor here. Big Thumb, Yellowstone Lake. Big Thumb, Yellowstone Lake. These are not the only earthquakes that are here. There's over a dozen earthquakes here. They are all microquakes and tremors here in Yellowstone National Park. Microquakes and tremors here in Yellowstone National Park. We go north. This is a 2.1 near Twin Bridges, Montana. Twin Bridges, Montana here. 2.1 minor earthquake. We go north again. Right here. This is a 2.3 here near Lincoln, Montana. This is not the only earthquake we've had here in Lincoln, Montana before. This won't be the last. This whole area, guys, is the Yellowstone magma chamber. Not part of the park, but part of the Yellowstone magma chamber. The Yellowstone magma chamber comes up here to the border of Canada. Comes up here to the border of Canada. Goes all the way down into northern Utah. The Yellowstone magma chamber comes all the way down here in northern Utah. The Yellowstone magma chamber is 11 Grand Canyons in size. 11 Grand Canyons in size. Need to be aware of that. Need to be aware of that. Let's go over here into the Pacific Northwest. We come down here into the southern Cascadia region. Southern Cascadia region here. This is the 1.6 tremor here. Petrolia, California. Petrolia, California, guys. We have earthquakes here. This earthquake is on the Mendocino Fault. The Mendocino Fault here. 1.6 tremor. This is in the Cascadia subduction zone region. Okay? This area of the southern Cascadia region has earthquakes. We keep reporting on this all the time. Let's go north here. Okay? This is a 3.7 earthquake here. This happened earlier today. I'm sorry, not 3.7, it's a 2.7, I'm sorry. a 2.7 earthquake 10 kilometers deep here. This is 195 kilometers west of Bandon, Oregon. We had a 3.7 here yesterday. Now we have a 2.7 minor earthquake here today. Over here on the shoreline here of Oregon, Yachts, Oregon. This is a 2.0 earthquake here along the coastline. Now we go up here into Washington State. They say this is a 1.5 explosion here. A 1.5 explosion here. Guess where it's at? Guess where it's at? Willapa Hills Park here. Willapa Hills State Park here. Okay? Now, folks, there is no explosion. I want to emphasize this. There is no explosion here. This is over in the trees. This is a heavily forested region. This is a heavily forested region. Yes, there is magma down beneath the surface. This may very well be a magmatic earthquake. This is a 1.5 tremor here. Not an explosion like USGS has put on the map, but it is a tremor here. A 1.5 tremor here. Now, when they do this, I get agitated. I made fun of them, and I'll continue to do that. I'll continue to do that till the cows come home, because they are liars. The USGS continues to lie. They continue to lie and cheat and steal. I'm to the point where I believe they don't know what they're doing. They absolutely don't know what they're doing. Okay? Now, they call this an explosion, a spontaneous combustus carnivorous. Now, I want to thank Demon Catman. Demon Catman made this meme for us. Spontaneous combustus carnivorous. It's not an explosion, guys. Okay? Now, a squirrel here is saying, heck, what last exploded? What last exploded? Okay? I want to also emphasize here, get prepared for the unexpected emergency in your life. Get prepared now for the unexpected emergency in your life. Demon Catman, thank you for this meme here. It's great. Every time I show it, guys, I get a lot of comments, great comments about that. Okay? So Demon Catman, again, thank you very much for doing this for us. We appreciate it so much. Okay? It means a lot to us. Okay? But other than that, let's go here to the northeast. Okay? This is actually, and I'm sorry I get a little bit of a kick out of this. Okay? I don't like what US says or does. I despise them. I despise them. They're calling this a 1.1 explosion as well. A spontaneous combustus carnivorous right here. Spontaneous combustus carnivorous. This is a mountainous region. This is not an explosion. This is not an explosion. A spontaneous combustus carnivorous here. 12 kilometers south-southwest of Mount Rainier. 12 kilometers south-southwest of Mount Rainier. USGS has this south-southeast of Mount Rainier. How's that possible? How's that possible? Look where Mount Rainier is here. Look where Mount Rainier is here. It's impossible for this to be south-southeast. They can't get their direction straight if they were paid for it. They can't get their direction straight if even their mother was holding them by the ear, dragging them over here to Mount Rainier, showing them where Mount Rainier is. They do this all the time. This is south-southwest, not south-southeast of Mount Rainier. One other earthquake over here. This is east of Olympia, Washington. A 1.2 tremor here. USBS has this at 6 kilometers north of Roy, Washington. Interesting. It's closer to Olympia, down here in the southern Puget Sound region. Notice where I said it was? South of the Puget Sound region. Okay? What's going to happen here in the Puget Sound? Cascadia earthquake? Remember the Cascadia earthquake, guys? This is going to have a profound effect on the Puget Sound region. Let's go over here just southwest of Mount Rainier right here. This is closer. This is a 1.0 tremor here. Right with it here, this is a 0.8 microquake. Fascinating, just southwest of Mount Rainier. Over here, at Mount Rainier, at the summit of Mount Rainier, look what they're showing us here. This is amazing. They're showing us 4 earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. Interesting. Interesting. This red one just happened. Let's take a look at it. They're calling this a 0.4 microquake. Interesting enough. This is 0.6 of a kilometer deep. 0.6 of a kilometer deep, right below the summit of the volcano. This one over to the southwest here, also at the summit. This, folks, guys, is a 0.3 microquake. This is actually a half-mile deep. 1.1 kilometers deep, a half-mile deep. Just to the northwest of that, also at the summit, this is a 0.5 microquake here. This is an 0.8 of a kilometer deep. Okay, right below the summit. Guys, when it's below the summit, what am I talking about? Look where it's at. The summit here is a great big huge volcanic rock. The volcano was erupting lava here. This lava at the top hardened. These earthquakes that we're seeing here just under that lava plug, this is magma hammering away at the bottom of the plug. This is a 0.4 microquake. This also is 1.4 kilometers deep, just over a half-mile deep beneath the summit of Mount Rainier. These are not the only earthquakes that are happening here. Yes, we have more tremors, we have more microquakes, we have more minor earthquakes, we have more 3.0 earthquakes as well here at Mount Rainier today. Why they show us only microquakes, I don't know. I don't know. Because we can go over to the seismogram, we can show you all kinds of earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. Again, USGS is not being honest with us at all. They have no intention of being honest with us at all. Never. Never ever. Let's go almost directly north from Mount Rainier here. This is a 1.2 tremor here near Fall City, Oregon. 6 kilometers northwest of Fall City, Oregon. This is 2 miles deep. 2 miles deep here. Let's go further north of here near Puget Sound. This is a 1.4 tremor here near Warm Beach, Washington. Warm Beach, Washington. This is a 1.4 tremor here. Now this is interesting. This is very interesting. By the way, guys, guess what? Who I was talking to last night? Can anybody guess who I was talking to last night? The right says it's pronounced Ronye, Washington. Ronye, Washington. Aubrey's asking how deep? 1.4 kilometers deep. Half-mile deep. Now, Right Stuff here in the chat is proposing a possibility of a lateral eruption. What does that mean? What does that lateral eruption mean? Let me bring up my webcam here, and I'll show you what that means. Okay, what happened at Mount Rainier back in 1980? March 18th, 1980. There was a lateral eruption, wasn't there? The side of Mount Rainier blew out. The side of Mount Rainier blew out, and the summit dropped and blew up. Blew off 300 feet off the top of Mount St. Helens. And the side of Mount St. Helens was gone as well. That was a lateral eruption out the side of Mount St. Helens. Yes, that could happen here at Mount Rainier at any time. It could happen at Mount Rainier any time. We do have a bulge, just like we've seen at Mount St. Helens back in 1980. We could have a lateral eruption at Mount Rainier. It's not outside the realm of possibility. And the scientists realize it. The scientists realize it. Richard Smith says he thinks the head of USPS is Mr. Magoo. I agree. It probably is Mr. Magoo. Blind as a bat. Blind as a bat. Bella Virgo says she keeps thinking of Santorini and how that's rumbling along. I agree. It is. Okay? But again, guess who I talked to last night? I talked to Captain Ned. I spoke to Captain Ned, and he's back recovering from cancer treatment from South Dakota, where his sister was living, and he was staying with his sister. Now he's back in the Pacific Northwest over by Seattle. Okay? I spoke with Captain Ned last night. He has confirmed everything that I've said to you. He's confirmed everything that I've said to you and more. Okay? Now, with that said, let's talk about what he talked about. Okay? Let's talk about what he said. Up here near Friday Harbor, he said he fully expected to see. He told me that he fully expected to see the earthquake start happening here near Friday Harbor. He fully expected the earthquake to start here near Friday Harbor. We're talking about the Cascadia earthquake. Remember what we talked about a month ago? Earthquake girl lives over in Friday Harbor area. She told us what that earthquake felt like. Like a big truck hit her house. Shook the house very badly, and then there was an up, down, shaking motion. That was a 5.1 earthquake. Captain Ned told me, and I affirmed what he said. We will probably see a Cascadia earthquake start here. No, the Cascadia earthquake is not going to begin here, but we are going to see earthquakes here. Large, spontaneous, strong, very strong earthquakes. 6.0, 6.5, 6.9 earthquakes. Then, over here off the coast, between the Cascadia subduction zone, see that earthquake fault here? The Cascadia subduction zone? And the Juan de Fuca fault to the west? Guess what? That's where the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake is going to be. This is where it's going to be, guys. Right in this area right here. Between the Juan de Fuca fault and the Cascadia subduction zone. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. Now, when it happens, is anybody here ready for it? Does anybody here, and yes, I know there are a few people here that are in this Pacific Northwest area. I know that. Are any of you ready to see what's going to happen here? Is anybody really prepared to see what's going to happen here? Aubrey's asking again who I talked to last night. I talked to Captain Ned. Those of you who have been with me over 6 years, you know who Captain Ned is. He used to have his own YouTube show, and YouTube kicked him off because he was talking about the same thing we were talking about. But he was not willing to bow down and kiss YouTube's feet. They kept messing with him and taking him off the air, and finally they took him off the air permanently. And he stayed off the air. But Captain Ned has talked to me. He talks to Marv. Marv had me on his air about 5 years ago. I don't know whether Marv will have me on the air again. He usually only has people on there maybe once. But he did have me on the air then. Marv likes Cascadia. He likes talking about Cascadia. He also likes talking about politics like he does all the time. But Marv is a good man. Marv is a very good man. Okay? Jeremy Christopher says, no one's truly prepared. I agree. But you can be somewhat prepared. You can be somewhat prepared here. I know you can. You just have to do it. Now, today is Thursday. I told you we would be talking about the Cascadia subduction zone. This is important. This is vitally important. Look at all the earthquakes in this area. Look at all these earthquakes in this area. And yet USGS doesn't want anybody to know what's going on. USGS doesn't want anybody to know what's going on. There are literally hundreds of earthquakes here in the Pacific Northwest, not just at the volcanoes either. Hundreds of earthquakes here in the Washington, Oregon area, along the coastline even. Again, Captain Ned and I spoke about this last night. Now, we know when, a few years ago, when Marv went over to Ocean Shores, Washington. Yes, Ocean Shores, Washington here, near the Strait of Juan de Fuca here. Ocean Shores, Washington here. Ocean Shores, Washington is a very small town. 5,600 people. 5,600 people over here in Ocean Shores. Marv talked to the police, he talked to the fire department, and he talked to everyday citizens here in Ocean Shores, Washington. They told him just as they have told me. I called over there, I talked to them. I talked to firefighters, I talked to police officers. They have not been told anything about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake hitting. They haven't been trained, they haven't been spoken to about what Cascadia is going to do. Yet the Cascadia earthquake is going to be affecting everybody throughout Washington and Oregon, and even down in California, and even across the entire United States. Fact. Alan Newton's here says, I suppose nobody can fully prepare for something as massive as the Cascadia earthquake, though we can strive for it. You're absolutely right. We can strive for it. And we need to do that. The more we prepare, guys, the greater chance we have of surviving what's going to happen. Now, I had the statement from Captain Ned on my device here. He sent it to me. He doesn't want to come on the air again because he's afraid that YouTube's going to shut me down. But he and I talked. He says it's crazy, for sure. He said, I think it's really close. It's really close to going. Okay? Now, what we've seen here in the way of earthquakes has been very much a stutter step. Meaning like hop, skip, and a jump. Stuttering like language. Okay? Now, I know for a fact that Captain Ned has now looked at the seismos. Captain Ned has looked at the seismos now. He is in agreement with me what I've said. Very much in agreement with me. Now he said, even all of us have talked about Mount Baker to the north. We talked about Glacier Peak to the south. We've talked about Mount Rainier. We've talked about Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, and Mount Hood and the other volcanoes over in Oregon. He said, as we talked last night, Mount Hood is very close. Mount Hood is right smack dab on the magma channel of the Columbia River. The magma chamber of the Columbia River, guys. The magma chamber of the Columbia River. What do we know about the Columbia River, guys? Underneath the Columbia River, guys, we have the magma channel. The magma channel that heads over here to Mount Hood. Mount Hood. Magma channels typically are, rivers in this area are typically over the top of the magma channel. They're typically over the top of the magma channel, and the rivers are actually earthquake faults itself. Okay? We know what's going to happen. We've seen what's going to happen. We've had 6.5 and 6.9 earthquakes over in the Seattle, Tacoma area before. Auburn, Washington's had 6.9 earthquakes before. It's going to happen again. Then we're going to have the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. It's going to be huge. As I said before, Ned and I talked about the Cascadia earthquake. We talked about Grays Harbor. Ned told me, and I agree, Grays Harbor is going to be ground zero. Ocean shores across the harbor, just to the north of the Chehalis River. Okay? It's going to be ground zero. The area is going to be liquefied because there's going to be liquefaction going on. Liquefaction caused by the ground shaking. The ground shaking is going to cause the groundwater to come to the surface. It's going to be quicksand. Quicksand, guys. This entire area of Seattle, this entire Puget Sound area is going to be liquefaction. This entire area, guys, we've been talking about for years now. For years. This entire area is sitting on huge lava fields. Huge, expansive lava fields. Millions of people live on the top of the lava fields here. What's going to happen? Can anybody tell me what's going to happen here? It's going to blow again. Hundreds of thousands of lives will be lost here. Not 1,600 like USGS is talking about. The volcano is going to erupt. The Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to happen. The people not killed by the shaking are going to be killed by the water rushing in off of the tsunami of the Pacific Ocean here. Yes, there's going to be a tsunami. 50 to 150 foot high tsunami, completely covering this area. Devastating the area. Like I said, the people that aren't killed during the shaking will be killed by the water rushing in off the ocean. Okay? Also, the lava erupting from the volcanoes is going to cover this area once again. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. We need to be aware of this. Again, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens to the south, and even over here at Mount Adams. Mount Adams is also putting steam out. Mount Adams is also having earthquakes, but USGS will never tell us about it. USGS will never tell us about it. They're trying to have us ignore what's going on at Mount Adams. All of these mountainsides are trying to erupt. Fact. Fact. Does anybody have any questions so far? Aubrey is here in the chat saying the White River runs through Auburn. In 2001, the earthquake in Auburn was like ocean waves. Yeah, ocean waves. The ground was bouncing around and going like this, like a bucking bronco. It's going to happen again. And it's going to happen again and again and again. Now, Demon Catman put a chat here I'm going to repeat here. He's saying, he was talking to Jeremy here, it's slow going on, but it's not thought explosive, just a shield volcano that clearly shows the activity of the whole area. You're right. It clearly shows the activity. Aubrey says 25 lahars went down White River last time Mount Rainier erupted. 25 lahars. Yes, guys, lahars. Lava coming down the top of the mountain, going to go through the streams and the rivers and go right down through the rivers. Hot, molten lava coming down the side of the mountain into the streams and rivers, causing lahars. Causing lahars. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Okay, let's go on here. As I said before, I talked to Captain Ed. He's exactly agreeing with what I'm talking about. He says, tell the people what your huge amount of research says and tells you. He said, he is glad to help me with my time-tested, repeated observations. They sure weren't coincidence. The cause and effect. The seismos tell the story about what would happen feet below the surface. Literally feet below the surface. As he and I talked last night, I told him what I had told you several weeks ago about the magma beneath the surface, feeling like hydraulic fluid running beneath in the magma channels, hydraulic fluid. He told me that when he was camping, he felt the hydraulic magma going through the channels underneath the surface. It was pumping. It was pumping. Just like you might see a hose pumping concrete or water pumping through hoses. A hydraulic type of feel. That is what's happening with the magma down beneath the surface. This is exactly what is happening with the magma beneath the surface. Okay? Now, does anybody have any questions about what I've talked about? This is important. I wanted to make sure that you have the information that I had to show you. Okay? Captain Ned is a very good friend of mine. He's willing to give me any information. He has given me information from time to time. He and I are going to be working very close with this because we both believe that this could happen at any moment. This seismic signals, this seismic activity could happen at any moment. Okay? Now, I have a lot more to talk about tonight. I've been working on this program for quite some time. Quite a long time, actually. Now, as I've spoken about what's going to happen tomorrow, there are demonstrations that are going to happen tomorrow, literally all over the United States. Let me bring up a map here. I've been asking you all to please stay away from the demonstrations. The demonstrations will not be good. The demonstrations will not be good for a reason. Because, folks, these people will not have the captive public like they had the last time. they protested on June 14th. This protest will be not as widespread as happened on June 14th, which one was President Trump's birthday, and it was also the 250th birthday of the United States Army. Let me show you this. This is the proposed map as of about Tuesday this week, showing you where the protests are going to be. Primarily, the biggest protests are going to be in the Northeast. New York, Washington, D.C., Delaware, Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. Yes, we're going to see protests over here in southern Florida. We're going to see protests over here in Los Angeles. We're going to see protests over here in San Francisco and also over here in Oregon. Also up to the northeast, or excuse me, the northwest here in Washington. The major cities are going to be pummeled with protests. Literally pummeled with protests. What's going to happen? I don't think much is going to happen. But what I do see happening is, yes, I do believe there are going to be violent protests. Okay? Demonstrations and rallies and other events protesting President Trump's administration. Yes, they're going to be held tomorrow, Independence Day, throughout the country. But as you can see, they're less spread out. They're less spread out. They're not spread all over the country like they were about a month ago, half a month ago. Nothing like that. But the upcoming events of the July 4th activity are going to follow other nationwide protests against the Trump administration and his policies. These protests are being organized by the 5501 movement. The 5501 movement, the socialist communist organization called the 5501 movement. Organized by the 5501 movement, 50 protests, 50 states, one movement. And other groups are also going to be involved. Since Trump returned to office, these communist socialist protesters have been out against us. Now, what you're also going to see is not just against Trump. Actually, it's all going to be against Trump and the United States. They don't like us. They don't like anything about us. Yes, we're probably going to see the protests happening, and some of these protesters are going to mask up because they don't want their identity put out. We know that there are going to be Palestinian protesters as well, using Palestinian flags. They're going to have upside down American flags as well. They say they're protesting against the United States. They don't like us. They don't like anything about us. They're going to be protesting. Some of it's going to be violent. The Palestinian movement got arrested last time. Almost the entire bunch of protesters from Palestine were arrested. And yes, they're being deported as we speak. Now, this protest on July 4th is going to be called Free America. Free America. It also includes a women's march. The organization behind Free American Weekend is calling on people to join or host events over the coming holiday weekend, the entire weekend. They want us to be scared. They want us to be divided. They want us to be alone. They don't want us to dream about freedom. But that's exactly what we have to do. We must not just dream about freedom, we must act about freedom as well. This July 4th, they will be on the streets, but we also need to be there in a different manner. We need to sing songs of freedom and songs of joy. The dream of American freedom belongs to all of us, and we will not stop in our pursuit of its promise, now or ever. On the other side, President Trump just won another big thing. Today, the United States House of Representatives voted on the big, beautiful bill, and it was approved. The big, beautiful bill has been approved by the House and the Senate, and it's being sent to President Trump for his signature probably tonight. Okay? President Trump won nearly 80 million votes, and he received a historic mandate from all of us to make America great again. And he is delivering in a big way. He has climbed all over the House. He's climbed all over the Senate, beating them up, telling them to pass this big, beautiful bill. And yes, there have been amendments made to make the bill even better. The other day, President Trump has promised us that have Social Security. The Social Security recipients millions of Social Security recipients will get a raise in your Social Security payments. You will be receiving a raise in your Social Security payments to the tune of $1,100 a month. Some millions of Social Security recipients will be getting over $1,100 a month increase. They need it. Many Social Security recipients have not been getting much of anything. They will after this. They will after this. What I'm going to talk to you now is important. Tomorrow is the 4th of July. Tomorrow is the 4th of July. What I want you to do is accept it. I want you to be proud of who you are and proud of our country that we represent. I want you to enjoy your 4th of July celebrations. Yes, barbecue. Eat potato salad and baked beans. Get out there and blow whistles. Get out there and even enjoy your fireworks, but be safe doing it. Yes, we deserve to celebrate, but do it safely. Be cognizant of everything and everyone going on around you. Protect yourselves and your families. Now, I want to read to you a message written by some very dear friends of mine. And I told Greg and his wife Amy that I was going to be talking about this. I told Greg and his wife Amy that I was going to be talking about this. I believe in what they're saying. Okay? Now, they have an organization called PetEmergencyEducation.com. PetEmergencyEducation.com. We're going to be talking more about that in a minute. New on their website is a Pet Care Kids Corner with pet care activity downloads. Look, for those of you that have children, grandchildren, looking for a fun and educational way to teach your kids about pet safety and care, check out their brand new Pet Care Kids Corner. Our mission is to help people help their pets, and it isn't just for adults. Teaching children to be responsible pet owners is important as well, as it teaches empathy and compassion for all living things, and a sense of stewardship. Pet Emergency Education is excited to offer free printable activity books. Free printable activity books, as well as an educational resource created by veterinary professionals just for kids on their website. Our first fun, downloadable, just in time for the upcoming holiday, is our full-color 4th of July Pet Safety for Kids activity book. Yes, an activity book for kids, right in time for the 4th of July. Continuing, guess what it's called? Booms, Paws, and Safe Hugs, a 4th of July pet adventure from Pet Emergency Preparedness, guys. Remember that. Remember that. Pet safety, guys. Pet safety. PetEmergencyEducation.com. You can go to this email address and you can write them and ask them for more information. But there's more. There's actually a lot more. Be prepared. Be prepared for summer for pet emergencies. They actually have a pet first aid kit. A pet first aid kit. I believe it runs about $50, $45 to $50. You can buy a pet emergency preparedness kit. I believe in that. We talked about pet emergency preparedness. I believe in that. The dog that they are showing here is their dog Cootie. Their dog Cootie died 2 weeks later after the 4th of July last year. Now, Amy and Greg wrote their book. Amy put here on their Facebook page yesterday that I'm quoting here. I told them I was going to use this and I want to use it now. Amy and Greg said, I used to enjoy fireworks until people started turning neighborhoods into war zones. Last 4th of July was one of the worst days of our lives. The nonstop explosions triggered 3 of the most violent seizures our sweet Cootie, their sweet dog, ever had. Greg and I truly believe that night was a turning point in the decline of his health. And we lost him just 2 months later. Fireworks don't just scare people. They can seriously harm them. Even healthy animals suffer. Their hearing and senses suffer, far more sensitive than ours. Now, they said, and I agree, we now live in an incredible selfish society. Our society doesn't give a crap about anyone but themselves. Me telling people to not light off fireworks around us is useless. People are just going to do whatever the heck they feel like. Yes, people are going to do whatever the heck they feel like. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. They don't care about our veterans with PTSD. They don't care about our pets as well. The message they have, and I am echoing here, is we are pet owners. We are pet owners. We need to protect our pets. If your neighbors are going to blow off fireworks in your neighborhood, be safe. You don't have to be in quiet corners of your house either. Take your animals somewhere quiet and safe, and do it to save their lives. Taking your pets somewhere quiet and safe can save their lives. As I said, go to the website, go to their Pet Care Kids Corner, get their free downloadable pet activity book teaching kids about keeping pets safe on the 4th of July. They asked me to share this post with all my friends. I'm doing it now. But as I said before, I've been pondering what I was going to tell you today. I've been pondering for quite some time what I was going to tell you today. My mind has been called up to a lot of thinking, a lot of memories, memories of pets, memories of veterans hurt. This past Sunday, we saw something very horrible. Our first responders killed, even in the line of duty. Let me show you this. As these same firefighters were brought back to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. That was over in Idaho on Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in sanity. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in our country. I completely believe in our country. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in what we're doing. I also believe in independence. Yes, independence. That's what the 4th of July is about. Independence Day. Celebrating our independence that happened July 4th, 1776. There was a man that said, "This nation will remain the land of the free only so long as it is the home of the brave." Let's talk about that. On June 29th, two Idaho firefighters were murdered while responding to a brush fire that had been intentionally set. An ambush. An ambush. This is not just a news story. This is a warning. Our country is breaking in ways most people don't even see until it hits home. These men who died last Sunday evening showed up to protect us. They were gunned down for it. I've shared how I felt. I played videos Monday and Tuesday, emotion-filled videos by their own men that they worked with, without finger pointing. Yes, most of us are emotional and numb, and finger pointing isn't the answer. If you're angry and heartbroken, or just tired of having the feeling of powerlessness, you're not alone. But I want to urge you to not wait for lawmakers to do something about it, because lawmakers are not going to do anything about it until we force them to make movements. We need to fix this through action. We need to fix what happened last Sunday with accountability and rebuilding our communities, starting right here where you are. Northern Idaho, Washington State, Oregon, California, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, South and North Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Minnesota and Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, northeastern United States, eastern United States, and southeastern United States. We all need to come together. We need to make people accountable. All our lawmakers and everyone else need to be held accountable for what they do. We need to start in the very cities and towns where we are at, in the states. We are all reading, we're all hearing much concerning the events connected with the founding of our country, and even with the modern devices that are available to us today. The news media reaches our entire world. The news media reaches throughout the entire world. And we are aware of our international relationship and our interrelationship, not just with the media, but with each of us throughout a world. Our world is now a world community. I believe that all countries follow God, and all countries that follow God are greatly blessed by the Lord. Each one of us is uniquely different in its beauties, its people, its customs, and even traditions. My ancestors still celebrate what they call Midsommardagen in Sweden, where they dance around the midsummer day pole. They eat wonderful food, dance and sing, and have great traditions. The discovery of the Americas was not an accident. The discovery of America had been foreordained in the eternal councils. The prophets of old had it in view. Jacob foresaw it when he blessed his son Joseph, calling him a fruitful bough by a well whose branches run over the wall, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. Genesis 49:22 and 26. Christopher Columbus was inspired by the Spirit of God to cross the ocean for the rediscover America, thus assisting in the furthering of God's purpose. Columbus himself, in a letter to the Spanish hierarchy, wrote, quote, "Our Lord unlocked my mind, sent me upon the sea, and gave me fire for the deed. Those who heard of my enterprise called it foolish and mocked me and laughed. But who can doubt but that the Holy Ghost inspired me?" I'm going to pause here just for a second. Gwen's River House just gave us a $10 super chat. Or Owen's River House just gave us a $10 super chat. Sorry for misinterpreting your name. Owen's River House just gave us a $10 super chat. I just gave you an EMA sticker on your super chat and just gave you a thumbs up. I want you to know how much that we appreciate that. Thanks, Owen's House. God bless you. God bless you. Now, during Columbus's voyage, after weeks of sailing with no sign of land, mutiny raised its head. Finally, Columbus promised the captains of the Pinta and Nina, both of whom wanted to turn back, that if no land was sighted in 48 hours, they would turn back. Then he went into his cabin and, in his words, quote, prayed mightily to the Lord. On October 12th, the next day, they sighted land. Thus, the American colonies attained their independence and set up the government of the United States, not just because of Columbus. Many, many boats sailed from the old country of Europe over to America. The American colonies attained their independence. They set up the government of the United States, all under the divine intervention of God in preparing this land for its divine destiny. At this point, we pay tribute to those great men who accepted and met the great challenge to establish a constitution for the government of this so-called new land. No constitution on earth has endured longer than this one. We seek and usually find the answers to today's questions in this document of yesterday called the Declaration of Independence. It was and still is a miracle. Both Washington and Madison referred to it as such, an inspired document. 4th of July is Independence Day, celebrated in the United States. It's celebrated in time to commemorate the nation's Declaration of Independence from British rule in 1776. It's a day for patriotic celebrations, reflecting on the ideals of freedom and liberty, remembering the sacrifices made to achieve independence. The day marks the adoption of the Declaration of Independence by the Second Continental Congress, formally declaring the 13 American colonies as independent from Great Britain. The Declaration of Independence established fundamental principles like liberty, equality, and the pursuit of happiness, which continue to shape American ideals. Independence Day is celebrated with parades. It often involves community events, encouraging people to come together and celebrate their shared heritage. Many people use this day to reflect on the meaning of freedom and liberty and to consider to uphold these values and how they're going to do that. Many of us celebrate the holiday with fireworks, barbecues, and other community gatherings. Benjamin Franklin said, "Where liberty dwells, there is my country." Elmer Davis said, "This nation will remain the land of the free only so long as it is the home of the brave." You have to love a nation that celebrates its freedom. We, the people, recognize that we have responsibility as well as the rights, that our destinies are bound together, that a freedom which only asks what's in it for me, a freedom without commitment to others, is a freedom without love, a freedom without charity, a freedom without duty, and a freedom without patriotism. That is unworthy of our founding ideals. We must be worthy of commitment to others, worthy of a freedom with love, charity, and duty, and even patriotism. This kind of activity is worthy of our founding ideals, the founding ideals that our forefathers gave to us when they founded this country, and even those that have died in this country's defense. Our freedom does not come easily. Our freedom was a result of long years of struggle and immense sacrifices. July 4th is a day to remember those brave freedom fighters who helped us gain our independence. This day is celebrated across this country with enthusiasm. The great Winston Churchill of Britain said, "Americans always try to do the right thing." Our United States is not about each of us individually. It's about we the people. William Faulkner said, quote, "We must be free, not because we claim freedom, but because we practice it." We practice freedom. Ronald Reagan also said something I find very significant. If we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will become a nation gone under. John Philip Sousa said, "The red, white, and starry blue field is freedom's shield and our hope." George Bernard Shaw said, "Liberty is the breath of life to our nation." The happiness of America is intimately connected with the happiness of all mankind. She is destined to become the safe and venerable asylum of virtue, of honesty, of tolerance, and quality, and of peace and liberty. Marquis de Lafayette. Thomas Wolfe said, "America is the only place where miracles not only happen, but where they happen all the time." Theodore Roosevelt, former president, said, "I am an American, free born and free bred, where I acknowledge no man as my superior. One flag, one land, one heart, one hand, one nation evermore." Oliver Wendell Holmes. Matthew Lilliard. Find a moment, just a simple moment, to close your eyes. Close your eyes and think of men and women who protect the freedoms you enjoy. It's a privilege, not a right. Samuel Sherwood said, "Liberty has been planted here, and the more it is attacked, the more it grows and flourishes." Samuel Sherwood. Happy 4th of July, everyone. As you take this day to honor America, ask yourself, why am I not honoring America on the other 364 days? Ask yourself, why am I not honoring America the other 364 days? Shame on me. You and I, each of us, are blessed with the opportunity to stand for something. We've talked a lot about standing for something. For freedom, for liberty, for fairness. These things are worth fighting for. These things are worth devoting our lives to. And we have good reason to be hopeful and optimistic. Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan. As I said, I prepared a special video for you tonight called the 4th of July. I want to play it for you now. God bless you. God bless America. God bless each one of us, no matter where we live. God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. God bless. Do know that we love you. As Walter Cronkite would say, that's the way it is.